Okie dokie. Dark Ritual is a strong card, but my issue is what am I ramping it off of? Oh, what am I ramping into off of it? Fast ramp, that is, use and be done, can be really awkward while playing a grindy attrition game of Magic. Okay, fair point. I think it has much more stable place while playing fast combo decks or 60-card Magic, where you can build around it with more consistency. This is very true. I cannot deny having 4 Dark Rituals in a 60-card deck is better, and it is stronger in combo for sure. I think it's a good card, but it still falls off quickly. This I do not agree with. If you draw it in the first 5 or so turns of the game, then it could be good. I think it's good on any turn. Its efficiency doesn't really change based on what the turn is. In fact, it's probably better later because at that point you have some kind of draw engine online for sure, or found a way to start refilling your hand. Or you can reuse your draw off an already active general, and that means you can cast it twice. Like in your deck, it's twice as good as normal because it's going to be very easy to get an activation off of him. And this is a card that makes mana, so it plays all 21 of these, which could still be in your hand. You can cast it and then flash back off this guy, and then let's say you flash back go through it, you kill something, you flash back Dark Ritual, and then all of a sudden you can play, a Corpse Stamps on your guy, or you can just go straight into a Vamp Tutor, or you can play your makeshift Mannequin on the card in your graveyard. I think that's fairly strong. Not to mention the cards you can just ramp into starting. What do you ramp it into? Well, Necropotence is an obvious choice. This is probably the strongest card in your deck, especially since you're playing Reliquary Tower. Being able to put your Reliquary Power Necropotence combo online turn 2 is very strong. You're already playing Converted Mana Cost 1 Tutor to go find this card, or possibly the other cards. This is a combo that pretty much wins the game with only like 2 cards, and you're already playing everything but the one. Even ramping into something like a Memory Jar to draw a new 7 can be very strong. Being able to get a free wheel that early in the game, when no one has as much counter magic up, they're still tapping out to do their own things. You can see a free 7 and then just get value off your hand. It's also very good if you're breaking a Memory Jar because it allows you to cast more before you lose the hand. It has synergy with literally everything in your deck because you're mono black. You can ramp into literally anything with this card. So if you ramp into a draw spell, let's just say it's even a Phyrexian Arena, a turn 1 Phyrexian Arena is much better than a turn 3 Phyrexian Arena. And as far as net card, the Dark Ritual literally just cost you a card, right? Unless you had another 1-drop. Then it costs you the opportunity to play that 1-drop. If you play a turn 1 Phyrexian Arena, it makes up its card on the second turn, and then you get a value card on the third turn. It's like you got a card for free. Maybe seeing that next card for free a turn earlier meant you get a tutor for something else a turn earlier. That really, these little tiny bumps in mana or draw card can mean being able to do something a turn sooner, which speeds your entire clock up, which means even for a controlling or mid-range deck, it means you have more mana on the board, more cards in your hand, more control, better odds of winning. Even if you're ramping into Erebos, or let's say you ramp into Cryptghast, it just turns this little bump into a consistent bump. Using Dark Ritual to feed another mana spell is very, very strong. It's been used for a very long time. Whether I'm using it to make a Thran Dynamo, a Gilded Lotus, a turn 2 Skyshroud Claim, Dark Ritual lets you pump this mana into things that are off curve that give you consistent value, and then you can use that consistent value to quickly refill your hand, and the loss of a card is literally like nothing. Turn 2 Solemn Simulacrum is much better than turn 4 Solemn Simulacrum, especially because now on turn 4 you're going to have 5 mana and you can be making a better play. Geth Bolt of the Vault out early is better than it is late, though you can put more mana into it late and its effect would seem stronger there. There's a better chance people still want to be making plays on their own turn, even if they do just auto kill it and you're baiting out removal. It's not horrible since you've got a good suite of ways to bring things back, and as long as we're digging deeper and going faster, this is probably not the kind of card I'd want to feed the Dark Ritual into. I kind of like feeding into value more. But I mean, you play freaking Null Profusion. I mean, how amazing is that to ramp into a 6-drop, but B, that's like the perfect kind of card to draw when you're using No Profusion. It really gets you going. Obviously good with Ad Nauseam because it lets you cast it faster. Obviously good after Ad Nauseam because it gives you more power to do things. When you're using these very, very large draw spells, Necrologia, Ad Nauseam, and the consistent draw of things like Phyrexian Arena, you really, really want to draw into free mana because it gives you more power to use the cards in your hand. And whether you're playing control or whatever your archetype is, this is pretty much consistent across almost any archetype. If you can make extra mana and draw extra cards, then it's very much just like thinning your deck and smoothing it out and just making it faster. So adding little cards like these lets you pull out whatever you think is weakest in your deck, and at the same time make everything else in your deck just more efficient. Dark Ritual is a card that I've been using, I can't even remember how long. Even when I sucked at Magic, I played 4 Dark Rituals and everything was black because it didn't take me very long to realize that it was very strong almost no matter what you're doing. With a well-built deck like this that has so much card draw in it, I think that kind of effect is really strong. I think most decks I look at, I feel this way about. This might be something in how I like to build, but I feel like in a deck like this, because I've played lots of decks that are like this is actually very similar to a strategy that a Storm deck, which I'm very familiar with, uses, in that you're banking off these large draw spells and the value they provide you to get extra cards. It's very much a card advantage deck. You can see it everywhere. It has some nice tricks. It can throw people off. It answers their cards, but it wins in the grind because of its card advantage. And Dark Ritual lets you do things when people don't expect it. It lets you resolve this spell when they're not ready to hold up their counter spell. I really can't imagine many turns where it's bad unless you're getting stuck in top deck mode, and it's literally everyone just ripping cards from the top of their deck. But even under that, when you finally do rip your spell that wins you the game, you know, your big spell to refill, you refill in a large way, and you want to quickly take control of the game and finish things. So, I mean, I can think of like a very narrow scenario where it's bad. But the fact that your general lets you double dip on it, and you're casting so many things at instant speed anyway, and it can just be used to feed any single one of these in your hand, and possibly even flash 2 things at once. I mean, I don't know what I wouldn't want to feed Dark Ritual into. I'm fine Dark Ritualing into Soul Ring, into Jet Medallion, and then casting, what's another 2-drop we got in here? Altar of Dementi all at once. I'm all for it, you know. Strong with Dark Confidant, obviously. I talk about, I don't know. I'd like to talk about some other things, but I think I've said quite enough about Dark Ritual. I just think it's a very strong card. I don't really think the deck you use it in matters. Once you're making efficient use of your deck and you figured out your strategy, and this looks fairly solid, like there may be a few cards you don't want to waste your Dark Ritual on because it's that strong of a card, but I feel like having access to it at any point in time and being able to jump your curve at any point in time or just surprise your opponents at any point in time is incredibly strong, and I think it has a stupidly strong synergy with some of the cards in this deck. Your whole deck is black, so I mean it's always giving you color fix. So it's very strong early, like you said, but I don't think it's bad late unless you're stuck in top deck mode. If you're getting stuck in top deck mode, then perhaps it's not the best card, but I don't see mono black having that issue much. Back when I used to play mono black, I feel like I much more often had the issue that the cards in my hand were too similar, didn't solve the problem I had, or I didn't have enough mana to empty my hand. And I never really had problems drawing cards. I don't really think I played much more card draw than is in this deck. I mean, I might have played like some tiny stuff like Night's Whisper. I haven't played mono black in a long time. But most of these cards, you know, even these bomb cards are really good off a Dark Ritual. Playing them two turns early off curve, it's just a really strong card. Give it a shot and tell me what you think.